It's time for Positively Kansas. Coming up, it looked like curtains for a Wichita music star caught up in a deadly car accident, but she's overcome the odds and returned to the stage. She shares her amazing story of survival. Also, two Wichita artists land their designs on the runway at New York Fashion Week. We'll take you behind the scenes and show you how this duo from the Heartland are helping set the trends for style and fashion around the world. Plus, if you love chocolate like I do, we'll take you to the Wichita destination of your dreams. And the Kansas sky is a canvas of many spectacular shapes and colors in this week's Wild Edge Report. I'm Sierra Scott. Those stories and more are queued up and ready to roll in this edition of Positively Kansas.
Positively Kansas is brought to you in part by Visit Wichita, bringing you Wichita Destinations on Positively Kansas. Wichita, the heart of the country.
Before investing your hard-earned money, make sure your financial advisor understands your objectives. Mark Douglas, CFP, serving our community for over 20 years, providing customized financial solutions that focus on the individual.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas serves more than 930,000 Kansans in various programs. Independent, member-owned. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas, an independent licensee of Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association, supports KPTS.
Program support provided by the F. Price Kosman Memorial Trust, Entrust Bank Trustee, bringing you the Kansas Wild Edge segments on Positively Kansas.
She's back from the brink. Wichita musician Jenny Wood was critically injured, narrowly surviving a car accident that killed both her mother and 12-year-old niece. Now she's back on stage with a message that's more powerful than ever. Anthony Powell reports.
I can't forget what I am not.
Jenny Wood has always defined strength and tenacity, but never more so than on this December night at the Orpheum. Just 7 months after a car crash that nearly killed her while taking the lives of her mom and niece, Wood was rocking out with some Valley Center middle school students as part of her campaign to use music to fight bullying, intimidation, and manipulation. A concert she played a big role in behind the scenes as well.
An incredible feat. I challenged myself to build the itinerary for the students and for the parents, and it was a feeling I can't explain. Building that itinerary, talking to these kids, and talking to those parents, and getting those. Okay, and that kid does that, and he loves that part, so he's going to do that part.
But of course, it's on stage where Wood likes to be most.
And the way that children look at you when you begin to make music with them, the way that they look in your eyes, and then they start to feel safe, and they start to feel hope. It's a whole different kid.
Jenny says the car accident has made her a different person.
The me that was did not survive that accident. I'm different now. I know that. My I is different. My face, the tragedy is who I am now.
Wood embraces her post-accident differences. She always has welcomed standing out from the mainstream. Being a woman in the male-dominated rock music world has taught her that. And that's why, since the accident, she's never felt more strongly about trying to reach young people who've been made to feel like they're alone. Meanwhile, just a few months after the Orpheum show, Wood was busy interacting with kids at the Northfield School's annual community show. There she told us about the project she's spending most of her time on these days.
And I'm going to be doing videos on YouTube, which I'm not a technology person, but I'm going to be building that kind of relationship with people all over the place, to have a place for people to go when they need a place to feel, and they need a place to feel safe enough to feel weird and all the things that I used to feel. And then we take it out through music.
She hopes that YouTube will help her reach kids far beyond the Wichita Metro. But of course, it is the kids and adults in Wichita and surrounding cities that have played such a big role in her recovery.
And a woman left a note on my table, and she said, didn't want to disturb you, just want to tell you that you are a rock and roll star, and Wichita loves you.
And she says when people drive by and spot her walking in the neighborhood, they roll down their windows and shout, "We love you." Her music has also been a constant healing companion, never more important than when she was in the hospital.
My God, how great.
For quite a while I couldn't talk, but I was trying to, and then they played one of my little songs on the speaker, and I sang.
But most of all, Wood believes she recovered because she still has so much work to do impacting others with her gift.
So now I know that the reason I'm breathing and the reason I survived was because I knew that that spirit and that thing that I do with music, that is that relationship with a stranger that helps heal. We both are healing. We're both receiving and growing. I'm supposed to continue to keep doing that. That's why I survived.
For Positively Kansas, I'm Anthony Powell.
Jenny says her future is up in the air. She may have to move to a place like LA or Seattle if she wants to take her career to the next level. But wherever she lands, Jenny says Wichita will always be home. Two Wichita artists recently took New York Fashion Week by storm, and in the process put Kansas designers on the map. When you think of high fashion, Wichita is probably not the first place that comes to mind, but it should be. And now New York City knows it too.
ICT and NYC, baby!
This group of extremely talented and creative Wichitans was behind a collection that took the runway by storm during New York Fashion Week.
And I'm just taking in every moment.
This dynamic duo, as they're affectionately called, is made up of Alicia Ybarra, the CEO and designer of a custom couture business called Vanya Designs here in Wichita.
I sewed my first dress when I was 7 years old.
And Christopher Gulick, who is already internationally known for his kinetic sculptures.
I've exhibited here 3-4 other times.
But this is his first time at New York Fashion Week. Together, these two created this line of wearable sculpture known as Gulick Ybarra. So how did a couturier who specializes in making custom wedding gowns, evening gowns, and suits, and a kinetic sculptor end up here? To get to this point, we have to start at the beginning. After graduating from K-State with a master's degree in clothing design, Alicia Ybarra started her custom couture business in the basement of her Derby home. But she didn't stay there for long.
It would grow, and then I'd have to figure out how to meet the demand.
Chris has shown his artwork everywhere from Berlin, Germany to Sydney, Australia. But it was his wife, Cheryl, who accidentally inspired him to start thinking about combining his art with clothing.
She got me watching Project Runway.
Soon after, Chris started sketching his ideas onto models in his wife's fashion magazines. But there was only one problem. He had no clue how to make his art wearable.
The last time I sewed anything was when I was stitching merit badges on my Cub Scout uniform.
It took around 7 years from the time Chris's dream began to the time Alicia could help him get it on real models. It took an estate sale to bring these two amazing talents together. The two crossed paths in the hallway after picking up and looking at the same item. During their conversation,
Had a really hard time finding, a custom gown builder. And oh, I do that. Really? I'm just enough of a curmudgeon when somebody said, oh yeah, I do that. Uh-huh. Okay. And she got closer and she says, yes, I do. Well, okay.
And he goes, do you build things? Can you actually follow a concept through from idea to creation? Yes, I can. That's what I do.
so after chatting a few moments, they decided to meet up later to discuss it further.
And I remember saying to myself after our initial meeting, if ever I have an opportunity to go to New York Fashion Week, this would be it. So I saw something there from the beginning.
After that, they decided to test the waters to see if a partnership would be possible.
We picked one piece just to make sure we wouldn't want to kill each other before we were done with it.
We had to figure out together his sculptural aspect, my design skills, figuring out how to create something that could be worn on a human body that was three-dimensional, and we didn't hate each other at the end.
What they didn't realize at the time was that they picked the hardest design to tackle first. It took more than 120 hours to bring this one to life. Initially, they created a line of 15 outfits that was featured at Fashion Avant, a fashion show created by Alicia to benefit women's charities here in Wichita. At the time, they thought that was as far as it would go. Little did they realize, just a few weeks later, New York would be calling.
My landline rings. Yes, I still have a landline. And it says 212 blah, blah, blah. That's New York. Let's just go ahead and answer it and see what happens.
What happens is they get a personal invitation to show their line on the runway during New York Fashion Week.
This was always not necessarily a pipe dream, but kind of. You know, it was just out there. It was an idea. It's something that maybe someday.
They both admit it takes a village to get here. First of all, they're so grateful to the Wichitans who got behind them and helped them raise the money they needed to get here, and those who helped them perfect the show once they did.
This went past me and or Alicia a long time ago. This is the biggest group show I've ever been in. There are so many people that are a part of this, and I'm grateful for everybody that's making us look great. Yeah. Trish's hair sculptures are fantastic.
Trish is Trish Duell, the creative director at Eric Fisher Salon. It took her 4 weeks to make these wigs.
What my goal was in creating the hair pieces for their collection was to look at their collection and try to create something that would stand up to it but not detract from it. This is New York Fashion Week, so we don't want ordinary, we want fun, and their collection is so much fun.
And fun it was. As we said, it takes a village to put on a show like this. Trish brought Eric Fisher assistant Kennedy Sills along to help with the wigs. Alicia brought Libby Jensen to make any last-minute adjustments, so each outfit fit each model perfectly. They could only fit the models the day before the show, so Libby was making these adjustments right up until a few hours before showtime.
That's crazy. Like, I think when I see the stuff on the runway, I'm gonna cry.
And then, after weeks and weeks of work, it was showtime. New Yorkers rarely clap when a line is shown, but you could definitely hear the applause when this line hit the runway. In all, 15 different looks were shown, some created specifically to premiere here at New York Fashion Week.
Show's over. You've done it. You made it to New York Fashion Week. How do you feel?
I want to go back and do it again.
Everything it was wonderful. It was wonderful, and it's inspired me. I'm coming back. I'm coming back.
This is literally everything I've dreamed about my entire life, but it was just so insane and exciting just to be here and just to be with all these great artists, and I want to be here like for the rest of my life. And then when you guys came out, I just like could not stop smiling. And I was so many emotions.
It was so exciting. I was fighting back tears, honestly. I mean, it's so fun to watch your work come to life.
Even the models were honored to be able to represent this line.
Oh my gosh, I felt amazing in this outfit. It's just beautiful. I felt fierce. I felt empowered. Yes. It was just, it was everything.
I don't even feel like the same person. It was amazing.
And this was the one design that I wanted more than anything out of my magazines to see. And this girl showed me how to get it done and made it happen.
It's awesome. I loved it. I had the same reaction as you. It makes you feel, you walk out and you go, I've got this.
Yes.
I'm powerful. Yeah, your designs make people feel empowered.
Both Alicia and Chris agree. Their teamwork was what made it happen.
I needed her experience in the craft. I manipulate all kinds of different materials. I'm a professional barnyard engineer is really what I tell people.
I would not have done avant-garde without him.
Alicia Ybarra says she plans to go back to New York and will premiere her custom wedding dresses and evening gowns in a future Fashion Week show. They're an unknown mystery to many, but every spring, Kansans head to the woods on a hunt that often brings great frustration. However, it can also bring great rewards, too. Jim Grayway has the story from Morris County.
The hunt is on for one of Mother Nature's most mysterious creatures. You may not realize it, but the mushroom is more animal than plant. And the morel is among the most elusive and delicious.
40 years ago, when we were in college up here in Emporia State, we went over to Redmond Dam. I found 2 grocery sacks full of them. Haven't found any since.
The hope of finding some brought out a large crowd to Council Grove Lake. What about this appeals to you?
Oh, it's just the taste of the mushrooms and the joy of getting out in the woods and hunting for them.
This was a chance for budding mushroomers to be guided by the master. Tom Weipert is also known as the Mushroom King.
There's no reason with what I see there shouldn't be a morel somewhere.
The window of time is short. Morel season typically lasts only about 3 weeks each spring. And it is something a lot of Kansans don't know much about, including Ken Meyer of Wichita.
Well, I like mushrooms that you buy at the store, and put them on your steak or whatever, but I've never really ate morels.
Mushroom hunting is certainly a bigger deal in some areas than it is in others, but the truth is, morels exist all across Kansas. They're literally popping up all around us. It's really just a matter of heading out into the woods and knowing where to look.
And when I see blooms on the trees, I see plenty of green. The main trees that you find them this early on especially would be a cottonwood that's blown down, like we find them on the root balls. For some reason, blowdowns go earlier than other trees, or snap-offs. So if you see a cottonwood that might be snapped off or blown down, fresh blown down, that's going to be our best chance.
Weipert makes a living hunting morels across the middle and western U.S. because they emerge for such a short time and because scientists have never figured out how to cultivate them in large numbers, they command a high price on the retail market.
Morels are symbiotic. They live with trees. So they do a life cycle with a tree. They attach to the tree's roots and they give it nutrients like copper, magnesium, and phosphorus in exchange for sugar. So when that tree gets dead or damaged, that's what triggers the morel to say, I need to reproduce. I need to kick a mushroom up, spread my spore out, grow my roots out, bring in more nutrients, or find a new home. As far as those trees' roots grow out, which I'm saying, there could be morels this far out into the grass.
But as hard as everybody looked, it turned out this hunt was just a little too early.
Today I didn't find any mushrooms, but I picked up some trash.
Then a few days later, morels started popping up in Kansas. Here are just a few photos from across the state. And it turns out finding them is only part of the fun. The real payoff comes when you slice and fry them up.
8 to 10 minutes in the skillet, you can see they're golden brown and they're done and ready to eat. So we're gonna. They're hot, but they're so good.
One of the many other ways to eat them is in your scrambled eggs. Morels are a delicacy prized by the best gourmet chefs in France, and also by any average Joe or Jane six-pack from Kansas if they know what to do and are up for the hunt. Near Council Grove, I'm Jim Grayway for Positively Kansas.
In order to sell morel mushrooms in Kansas, you must be certified by the State Department of Agriculture. That's to make sure you know you're selling morels and not something else that could be poisonous. One of the most loved foods in the world is chocolate, but few places offer as many ways to enjoy it as Coco Dolce. It's a place that's sure to bring joy to just about anybody who walks through the door. Brian Ramsdale has the story in this week's edition of Wichita Destinations.
I don't think that there's anything else like this in our region. I think it's pretty one of a kind.
When they actually eat our product, they know that it's handcrafted, that there's real people actually making it. It's not just all machines making it. It's made from scratch, in-house.
At the end of the day, I want someone to be able to take a bite of our chocolate, smile, and know that the time and the effort and the joy that it brought to all of us, we want it to bring to you.
If you like chocolate and desserts, there's something to be said about Coco Dolce in downtown Wichita. This isn't only a chocolate-making factory, but also a fun bar and meeting space.
There are families that come in here and they get their kids cookies and have a great time in our lounge, but then there's also like people who use our space for date night, and it's just a really secluded and like perfect little lounge.
But it's behind this glass where things get really interesting.
Right here, people can come and watch and see what's going on.
Lead chocolatier Lisa Mickey knows how to make your traditional chocolates. In fact, easily 10,000 pounds worth in a year.
That's a lot of chocolate.
But what she's really into is thinking outside the box when it comes to flavors.
So we also have truffles. I think our most popular truffle at Coco Dolce is our champagne. People love it. It has sparkle, it has a little alcohol in it, and it tastes really good. I do a lot of innovation starting. I create most of the flavors. The palate, all the taste testing is something that I love to do.
But not to be outdone, this chocolate shop is also home to pastry chefs.
These are the macs I made today.
Callie Hebert's specialty.
When I get in, my main priority throughout the day is going to be macarons. That's all I do.
Bright colors, delicate desserts. It's something that brings people joy.
Their expressions on their face, they're just talking, enjoying, the way they're reacting to what they're eating and drinking. You can just see it when they're having a good time.
And that brings us back to Emily Sutcliffe and the tasting room.
We display it in this case because they're all so beautiful and one of a kind. They're really pieces of art.
Decorated chocolates lined up like jewels in a high-end shop.
And I hope that they are just kind of blown away by the presentation and the beauty of our product.
And as if there was anything else that could make Coco Dolce even better. But there is. These chocolates are preservative-free. Everything they make here is simple.
Cream, chocolate, butter, all that good stuff that you love.
It is a definite concern that people don't want to be eating preservatives. They want to be eating foods that are healthy for them and that are good for their body, but they also want sweets too. So this is like a great middle of the road where you know exactly what's going into your food that you're eating, but it's also like very tasty.
So many options, so many flavors, and so many memories to be made. Because let's face it, when was the last time you had a front row seat at the chocolate factory?
Coco Dolce actually has 3 locations in Wichita: East, West, and downtown. You can also buy chocolates on their website. Kansas is known for its beautiful skies, especially its sunrises and sunsets. In this week's Kansas Wild Edge Report, you'll see some amazing skyscapes featuring an original song by video journalist Mike Blair.
God, the great creator, is the artist of the skies. My old house is nothing special, standing out there on the land. No chandeliers, no works of art, sketched by Rembrandt's hand. But in the dusty hayfields, right before my gallery is waiting when my artist paints the skies. Well, I don't get to town much, there's too much work to do. My walls are bare and dusty with no hanging art to view. And culture doesn't make my list when I stop for supplies, but I still see the wonder when my artist paints the skies. I see it in the clouds when rainbows sweep the land, a golden taste of heaven by the strokes of God's own hand. A living, breathing canvas is where the eagle flies. Yes, pictures swirl around me when my artist paints the skies. I see it in the clouds when rainbows sweep the land, a golden taste of heaven by the strokes of God's own hand. A living, breathing canvas is where the eagle flies. Yes, pictures swirl around me when my artist paints the skies. God, the great creator, is the artist of the skies.
Well, that's a wrap for this week. Send your story ideas to positivelykansas@kpts.org. Also, look for us on Facebook. I'm Sierra Scott. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Program support provided by the F. Price Kosman Memorial Trust, Entrust Bank Trustee, bringing you the Kansas Wild Edge segments on Positively Kansas.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas serves more than 930,000 Kansans in various programs. Independent, member-owned. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas, an independent licensee of Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association, supports KPTS.
Before investing your hard-earned money, make sure your financial advisor understands your objectives. Mark Douglas, CFP, serving our community for over 20 years, providing customized financial solutions that focus on the individual.
Visit Wichita, bringing you Wichita Destinations on Positively Kansas. Wichita, the heart of the country.